What's up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this big ball that we call home. You're back with me, your host for today. It's Ian Kane, and a big welcome to this installment of DappRadar Meets. The date today is Monday, the 17th of October. Wow. Okay, so DappRadar Meets is all about throwing light on projects and dapps in the Web3 space. More importantly, we want to get inside their heads, and we want to understand more about what they're doing and why they do it. Why? Because DappRadar is the world's Dapp Store. We really need to highlight and showcase all the existing projects and let our community peek under the hood and get to know the team and see what they're up to. So today, I'm really excited. I've got developer advocate of Filecoin, Longfei, here with me, and he's here to talk about the platform, what it does, and what it can do. But firstly, how are you today, Longfei? Are you okay?
Hey, yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm very happy to come here and talk with you guys because very happy. In DappRadar was in my list there for many years that I've been talking with you guys before, and now I'm finally here to talk with audience. And besides that, I'm in China right now, and I'm pretty excited about a few of the events coming up for Filecoin. So first, I can get out of China and enjoy some freedom. Second, like a lot of events in Lisbon, and I'm very excited about like IPFS camp or Filecoin Lisbon and everything. So I'm ready to go there, and so I'm getting myself ready.
Nice, man. So you've got a nice couple of months lined up, ready for some travels and some other things. That's very cool. Well, thank you for joining us here today. I really appreciate that. And just to give everyone a kind of top line for Filecoin before we jump in, it's a decentralized storage provider. So in essence, rather than trusting one company with your documents and data, you can split that up over different computers worldwide. But Longfei is going to explain a lot more about that. That's just kind of my basic explanation. Also, for all AMAs, we wouldn't be doing it right if we didn't have some stuff up for grabs. So Filecoin has given us some pretty cool loot boxes inside. Let me show the picture. Here we go. Look at that. Look at those socks. Awesome. So we've got these loot boxes up for grabs. All you need to do is retweet the live stream, this one that's happening right now, retweet it, tag a couple of friends, and like us on Twitter. Once you've done that, your name goes in a big hat, a digital hat, and we will pull some names out. For all the people who tuned in last time and didn't get to hear us speak because we couldn't make it happen, you are also included, so hold tight. All right, so let's get that picture down. Nice. Okay, so let's get into things. But before we start, as always, I want to know a little bit about you, Longfei. I want to know a little bit how you ended up at Filecoin and what gets you out of bed in the morning, man? Like, how did you end up in this blockchain space? Tell me some more.
All right, so my story of blockchain was a little bit interesting because I actually started getting to know Bitcoin a little bit long time ago, back in 2014, 2015, and I was just out of the college for a couple of years, and a couple of my friends, they start mining Bitcoin, and at that time they're looking to get people to all together to buy some mining machine to get Bitcoin. And they were like just talking to me and tell me, what is Bitcoin and like, how you get that, and also like how you get a Bitcoin is just going to the virtual world and looking for a hash, and then you would just get it. But it doesn't make too much sense for me at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will pass. So it was a little bit pity. Yeah, but like after a few years, as I started to like learn more into the technology and how blockchain work, other than just the Bitcoin, how to exchange, and then starting to make more sense. And so I started doing like a blockchain research company in China, and then starting doing like the app development and looking for different project, different blockchain platform. And so eventually I just got contacted by the Protocol Labs and the people that I know that work in that company. And obviously IPFS and the Filecoin was kind of famous, and then they're doing great job adding a different layer into the decentralization, which is storage. At that time, most of the project are focused on building the blockchain, increase the TPS, and how to fix the consensus. They are focused on that, but like IPFS and the Filecoin, they are doing something I think it's way ahead, is just building the storage. And a lot of project blockchain or the app and storage is essential. It's very important for them. Yep. So I just joined them, and everything was amazing after that. Protocol Lab is a great company.
That's a nice sign off. I like that. Everything was amazing after that, after you joined. But that's a cool story, though, man. That's a cool story. So you heard about it quite early, but like many people, it sounded a bit confusing and a little bit wild. Interesting. Like I like that you kind of floated towards real world application, and you also had some experience with dapps early on. I think if you're like me, you probably thoroughly understand that, you know, the blockchain is only really as cool as the dapps that are running on it, right? Like they're really what showcases the network and its technology. So all right, cool, man. So nice background story. So now you're at Filecoin, and you're the developer advocate, Longfei. That's right, isn't it? So your role is to kind of, well, not kind of, your role is to onboard developers into the Filecoin ecosystem and to get them building on Filecoin and to get more development happening there as well. So if I was a developer and I had a t-shirt and it says I'm a developer, right? And we just got into an elevator and the elevator's broken. So it's broken down. I'm sorry, but it's broken. You've got 1 minute to tell me about Filecoin before they restart the elevator. What would you say, Longfei?
All right. I think I would just start break the conversation as, you know, Web3, right? You know, blockchain. I mean, I hope you as a developer, you take your data, you take your personal information valuable. And now Web3 is becoming a huge thing that we're building the decentralization world. And obviously we have a lot of blockchain or doing the Ethereum, the Polygon and Cosmos and everything. But what's missing is the storage. You cannot build a decentralized application but saving your data on Amazon and on Google Cloud. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So in that sense, you need decentralized storage. And what you can use, obviously, IPFS and Filecoin. Why? I mean, you have a lot of options, but why you need to choose us? Obviously, first is the capacity. We are ready for the massive adoption. Like Filecoin have a huge capacity, and then it's almost 10% of the storage as AWS. So we are having a lot of capacity to do it. Second, if you need the storage, you don't want to pay a high price. And then a Filecoin, if you look it up online and everything, it's extremely cheap. Not just comparing with like Web2 product, but comparing with Web3, like Allwave, like storage, and it's also very, very cheap to do it. And we have a huge community to support if you want to build on it. From hackathon, from accelerator, everything you can get it. So it's just not cheap, but it's easy to build.
So it's good cost. You've got good support. You can build dapps on there. Sounds pretty interesting to me, Longfei. I'm kind of interested. Yeah, you did a good job there. The elevator started moving again, and we can carry on with the conversation. So I think that's the kind of, it's interesting to get that top line there. So that's the crux of this chat today. That's what it's about. But I think also as well, IPFS is something that you and I know probably really well, but for some people, they may not know. It's something they've heard probably quite a lot over the last year, given the hype around NFTs and how they're stored and other things. So do us a favor, Longfei. What is IPFS? What is it? How does it work? And how does Filecoin and IPFS work together?
All right. So, I mean, for people that's in Web2 world, it's very easy to understand IPFS if we look at from like how the HTTP works. And just imagine that in the current internet, that when you go looking for something like a picture or video or website, you often is just looking to the IP address and then where your content is stored. Basically, you eventually you're looking into your server on any of the storage platform to get your data. And that's how the current web work is, how the HTTP works. But there's some issue that in there. For example, you're looking at data from a location, but what's stored in that location could be changed. And it could be also just deleted and then just missing. You cannot find it, or you can maybe access the content that not what you stored before. And IPFS is in the Web3 world. It's essentially a file system that you can store and then share and then change other files. But the essential difference is we locate and share the data according to what it is. So what we use a Merkle DAG technology to generate the CID, which is like a fingerprint for your data. And when you're looking for data on the IPFS network, you're looking at what it is according to the ID. So you will not get any modified data because it's modified, and then the ID will be different. And you're looking for the one missing as well. That's how IPFS work.
Okay.
And you can just store your file and then be sure that you store whatever you store, and you get it whenever you need it. And you'd be able to verify because it's like a Merkle DAG, like hash, some sort of a hash function.
Yep.
But it's an open network. Like everybody can join to run a nodes to provide the service to store data and then share. And but this is no guarantee. Like for example, I participate in a network running a nodes, and people can just connect to my node, storing data. I will just spread the file. But if I turn off my computer, there's no punishment. There's no mechanism in there to ensure, because that's like an open protocol. Like for example, in HTTP, anyone can run and then just turn it off. It doesn't matter. But because we are in the Web3, we are in the blockchain, we want to make sure that our data is stored, and it has to be some incentive or the mechanism to make sure your file store, and that will be stored safely and then provide to you whenever you need it. So that's how the Filecoin come into the picture. So essentially, Filecoin built on top of IPFS. All the data formats is compatible with IPFS, which is IPRD kind of a data standard for the files and the content we store in both platforms.
Okay.
And what's the difference is Filecoin is more like a storage marketplace that you store your data with a storage provider. You make a deal with them, and there's a certain mechanism or incentive to make sure that your data is stored by the provider, and they have to prove that the data is stored and then keep storing for like a certain time. And all this proof, everything we published on chain, on the Filecoin chain. So, and then just an extra layer of a guarantee that your data is stored persistently and also provable that it's there.
Nice. So no, that's a great explanation. Like it's not a simple thing. Like, and I threw that question at you, and we'll keep talking about that. I just wanted to let people know, because it's something that's they need to know the basics before we can move on to the next stage. So I just wanted to outline that there as well. So it's an improvement on the current system. But the crux of it is that we're not talking about people like you and I putting documents onto this system. I'm not putting my letter to my family on there. It's not about that, is it? It's about applications pulling masses of data. So for example, you've got dexes storing data, and other applications need to pull this data, right, in order for them to work. So that's why we're here to talk about dapps. But one thing, and I said at the beginning, it's not for people like me to involve with, but on a basic level, there is a system where, and correct me if I'm wrong, where somebody like me can rent out a small portion of my hard drive, technically, to Filecoin and receive rewards for that in return. Is that right, or is that not right?
I think that was partially right, because that was a very, how do I say, that's the mission that when Juan built Filecoin, that his vision was build a storage network that everybody can contribute their spare hard drive for the people to store. But I mean, when we're starting to develop Filecoin and using like a ZK knowledge, everything, to making sure that there's a proof system in the network, to making sure the data is stored and to generate proof, and this eventually becoming a little bit computation expensive on the hardware, to like not just the hardware, but like not just the hard drive, but the CPU and the GPU, because there's a lot of calculation involved. And eventually it will be very challenging to run on your local machine. If you like, for example, if you have a desktop or laptop, and there will be not possible to run like a miner or storage provider on Filecoin. And also, like you run a node for Filecoin, there's two purposes. One is you want to contribute your storage, and then second is obviously you want to earn some incentive from Filecoin.
Yeah.
So, and if you spend a lot of money setting up your station, but you don't get to earn token because your capacity is very low, and the return on investment is not good. So you in general, if you want to earn something, you want to earn like a profit, and you have to have a higher capacity on your hardware and your hard drive and everything.
Not
so it's not like
average
regular
people.
not average people.
That was the reason I wanted to ask, because, you know, there's a lot of literature about different companies on the internet, obviously, and things are written at different stages in a company's progression. And I found that on the internet, but as far as I was aware, it wasn't really a thing that was happening. It was an earlier thing. So that's why I wanted to check with you to see if it was still the case. But it makes sense that as an original idea, cool. But when you start to scale, it's not so feasible anymore, right? So it makes a lot of sense. All right, cool. So what I want to talk about is Dapp developers using Filecoin, sorry, to launch applications on the blockchain. So I saw that there was something recently. I was doing my research, and the Filecoin virtual machine, it said it will allow 7,000, which was a very specific number, 7,000 new developers to build dapps directly on Filecoin that can leverage all the data stored on the network that we've just been discussing. So tell us more about the virtual machine and like these plans, these kind of, that number of 7,000. I know I'm only joking, but that's a lot of dapps. That's a lot of applications coming into Filecoin. So tell us a bit more about the virtual machine and what you guys are hoping to achieve with this as well.
All right. So there's two things I want to share for this question. The first is, let's just go to the easy one. That you said 7,000 number. I think it's basically how we estimate like how many people working, how many developers building on Filecoin. So, but like where are those developers from? So they're mainly from like ecosystem. There are a lot of companies they build on Filecoin either to be a storage provider, and then they need to build toolings, everything around storage provider. And then other part is the app. So currently we get in touch with them by hackathons and then by accelerators or by collaborations with other blockchain. Like we do a lot of collaboration with Chainlink and then Polygon. And there are a lot of there are a lot of developers building on those platforms and then using Filecoin. So I mean, there's a huge number. So they all show their interest on be able to write a smart contract and then do more complicated application on Filecoin. So that's a huge number, and I'm very happy to see that. And
so that makes more sense. So it's based. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and then the second is FVM. I mean, FVM is kind of a big thing for us. So why we're doing it, let's take a step back and then think about what our original plan is. So we're building a storage network. So the most valuable thing on that is providing the storage, right? But which means that you can store your data, like the apps or any application can store data on Filecoin. But if you only have a data, I don't think you'll be able to, any project or any application will not be able to take full advantage of the data because you just store. And then that was actually a lot of value could be generated around data. And we are building Web3. So obviously we don't want to make like computation on the data on a very centralized way. So we need to do it a decentralized way. And on Filecoin, so we need to add in this computational layer over the data on Filecoin, and which is essential for us. And that's one reason. Another reason is for storage provider, we have a lot of incentive, a lot of program around it. For example, the Filecoin Plus, which is like a very transparent data cap that we distribute to encourage people to store data on Filecoin. And there's like a mechanism to guarantee that if you store a valuable data, you get incentive, as well as the storage provider who store that data will get incentive as well. All this need to be, I think they need to be taken care of on chain, like run into a smart contract from automation. Because if now we're dealing it with off chain, and because we don't have the capacity on chain to do this computation, this smart, like a complicated program. And this is just a few examples, though there are a lot of more use case and scenario that requiring the programmability on Filecoin. And that's why we're adding that layer to Filecoin as well, to be able to bring extra function around the data store on Filecoin. Regardless, it's just for applications like NFT or DeFi, or some of the very specific scenario for the data, like data DAO and data market or auction, and like what I mentioned, Filecoin Plus. So those all require a programmability, and that's why we're doing the FVM. And it's also very coming very soon.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense there, right? I just want to remind everyone that if you retweet the stream right now and you tag some friends, that you can win the loot box that we showed at the beginning, some very cool socks, t-shirt, other things in there. Don't forget, like DappRadar, retweet the live stream. Yeah, you've answered one of my killer questions there, because I was looking at GitHub commits, and I was looking at who's doing what, and Filecoin ranks highly. So I was putting those pieces together, so it makes sense around that number now as well. So, but let's talk about some. So actually, let me ask you a question. You're working with developers a lot. You're talking to developers a lot in Web3. What, in your opinion, would be the things that they say they want the most of? Is it money? Is it technical support? Is it marketing? Where do they need the most help? What do they say to you? Give us a little bit of information, if you can, about where their biggest troubles lie. If that's
I think money is very small part of what they want. For example, like I get to contact a lot of developers, and they want to build application. They want getting the funding support to boost the growth. But for them, they are more looking for grow the application, if the project. Like if you have a brilliant project, they want to grow, they want to get support. Did I just disappear?
What happened there? You just disappeared for a second. It's all good. You're back.
Okay.
Let's 1 sec. Just make sure. Yeah, you're good. I'm a little bit delayed, but I'll catch up. Go on, carry on. Sorry.
Cool. So I think I got asked most is they want to get support, like from funding, and then getting the awareness from the Web3 world. Because I mean, if you're getting money, and then that's not how you can grow the project. They want to get like for example, there are a lot of projects they are interested into accelerator. Why? Because you're getting to expose to like investors, and you get exposed to people have more experience running a project, how to create an incentive layer, and how to get marketing going, and also how to making sure that the project getting attention from the VCs and from the investors. Those are things that they are more interested to do.
I thought you would say that, actually, Longfei. For me, I think the money is the least of the problems, actually. We know that the money is important and that you need money to launch projects. That's a given, right? But I think what I've seen also is this: you can have lots of money and you can have a killer idea, but as you say, if you can't take it to market and you can't get users on board, you can't test it, you're kind of stuck at the gate, really, aren't you? So I really agree with what you're saying. It's the same kind of stuff I'm hearing as well. But a lot of the time you're hearing, all about the money. And I really don't agree with it. I think it's more about marketing and as you said as well, access to investors, having people that have been and done this before to guide and advise. I think that means more than any money, actually, I think. So it's a good thing. So how can, for example, I'm a Dapp developer. I'm sitting here watching this program, and you've said some cool things. How can people reach out to Filecoin? What's the process? Like, do you guys take in, what's the process? Is it a white paper deal? Is it a MVP? How do you guys work?
There are multiple ways that developer can get contact with us, and depends on what stage they are at right now. And we have what we call builders funnel, that we support the builders, support developers through the stage of they grow. So let's take example as if I'm developers, I'm interested into Web3. I'm interested in the Filecoin, but I only have an idea. I don't have a mature MVP. I don't have a mature team to do it. For this kind of developers, we have like micro grants. What we call is next step micro grants. Just based on the name, you can understand that we just want to push you to take the next step to get into the Web3, to get in the Filecoin ecosystem. And this is just part of the grants. And let's take another example as for the project that they already have MVP running and they have like a good team taking care of development, marketing, and business growth. But they just want to make sure the product is something that the market needs, what you would say like a market fit. And then they want to get in some like expertise on like the incentive and on the marketing. They can get a contact with us for the accelerator program. And then all this, every information they can find from our website. We do have at least everything on the hackathon website, because we hope people starting from hackathon, but it's not necessary. There were like information on, you can join hackathon, and you can how you can apply for grants and different level of grants based on the level of your project and at which stage they are, and how you can grow as accelerator, how you can join them. All this information are listed on our website.
Yeah, and we'll put the links we'll put there as well, Longfei, just to mention that. All the stuff we're talking about now, I'll put that in the description, so links to all those places. But sorry, carry on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just missing something because that was, and there's something more also important is storage provider. Like for builders and then for teams who wants to become a storage provider, we also have not just funding support, but we have like a accelerator for the storage provider. Just gave you an idea. For example, the question you asked, can normal people run nodes? So they will give you the knowledge about what do you need to run a node, how do you do it, how do you get access to different like providers as machine, as your fundings and everything, and get in touch with the like experienced storage provider. And then they run this kind of program periodically as well. And all this.
That's really cool. It makes a lot of sense that you've got different tracks as well, different tracks for different stages of development. Often you see this kind of funnel where they're taking everything in at the top, and that's fine, but certain projects don't belong in the same room with other projects, right? Like they're just not as developed, or they've not come as far. So I really like that. And it seems like a really organized way to do things. That's very cool. Okay, nice. So you've got many different ways for people to reach out to you at different stages of their project, which is really cool. And then I didn't even think of that as the data storage side of things. There's two sides to this business, right? There's the provision for Dapp developers, and then setting people up as data storage as well. That's a whole nother avenue. It's kind of interesting as well. All right. So in this space, Longfei, like you've talked about the benefits that Filecoin gives, and I've done a really good job as well. Someone's actually mentioned it in the comments how you're nailing it. You're nailing the answers. So good work. And but who are your competitors? And kind of what are they? What are you competing on? You mentioned storage costs earlier. So if they're using a more centralized service, how does it weigh up? You said that you guys are cheaper. Let's get into this a little bit. Now, we're not talking about cheap. You said cheaper than the other supplier, not cheap. So my mistake there. But tell us a bit more. What are people competing on here? Is it about price, or is it about efficiency? What's it about?
Well, when we talk about competitions, the first that we think of is, let's just take it from a very small area first, is in Web3. And there's naturally the competition because storage is quite important, as I mentioned earlier, for the decentralized world. And I'm pretty sure you guys working in the Web3 world, or the audience, you should know that a lot of project building on storage, like always doing their work. And we as Filecoin IPFS is building out ecosystem. And then it also like China and Storage and Swarm, a lot of the project are building. But we are dealing things differently, like how you store your data, how you prove that your data is stored and provide to the people who use it. all this is a different. And also, like, another thing is different is we keep mentioning it, it's obviously it's a price. For example, if I store like a petabyte of data and maybe bigger as a 1 gigabyte of data, that's a lot of data, and then it must be expensive. And so the pricing will be very important, and we kind of take it very low, because how we do it is through a marketplace. Like, you're making deal with storage provider. Eventually, we are hoping to build a storage marketplace that user and the provider, they just compete. It's like I'm sorry, my English is getting a little bit worse.
A bit like power, in that's how power, like electricity, for example, and gas is kind of sold. Right?
Yeah, there's like a big marketplace that we don't set the price, like as Filecoin, we don't set the price, but it's the market set the price. I mean, like, that's how we want to build it, and then that's why it's getting lower, because it's always based on what we have right now. Like, we have a huge capacity, and a lot of providers, they can provide a service with a lower fee to cover the cost and everything, and it's bringing the cost to super low to do it. And another difference is, do we really have a real use case, and do we really have people in the network, first to provide the storage, second to consume the storage? That's very important as well. And according to the data published on the network, like, we do have, for example, we're now reaching to the 18 gigabit of data, which is a lot. I don't want to say how other network has, because that's a little bit not nice, but like, all the data on the website, on public internet, you can find it online. And another aspect is anyone consuming the data storage, are they actually storing data on Filecoin, or are they really storing data on other platforms? So we do have that data public as well. For example, one of our tools that we provide for the NFT, and it's called NFT storage. So by now, there's over like 7 million NFT created on that. So there's a lot of data, and now I'm pretty sure it's going to keep growing. And
I was going to say that was probably just like yesterday's NFT collections, right? Like, tomorrow's another 7 million of those. But
I mean, that's the Web3 world. But for Web2, I'm not sure if it's competition, but it's just a different way to store data, as a like centralized or decentralized. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't take it as a competition, because, I mean, there are storage, but it's a different level. Like,
it's a different way of doing it, isn't it? Like, do you think that companies now using centralized storage, Rick, do you think that they will see the advantages of decentralized storage and see the cost advantage, the uptime advantage as well? Do you think, is that an ambition of Filecoin to go after those companies, or is it really kind of keeping it Web3? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I think, we probably should aiming high, and then we want to providing the same service that, I mean, obviously, if we use Google and we use AWS, how convenient it is. There's a lot of features, a lot of computations around it, and we want to have that as Web3 as well. So we're building Filecoin towards that goals, and to grow as big as AWS, to grow as big as Google Cloud. But I mean, it doesn't mean that we have to kill, them, or if we want to make people to make a choice, like, either use centralized or decentralized, it's not ideal, because for the different projects, the preference according to the scenario, like, maybe centralized storage is perfect for this kind of project, but decentralized is perfect for like NFT DeFi. It's just a different way.
That would make, you would expect them to want to store in a decentralized way, given the nature of their projects, whereas a centralized company, other than a cost advantage, they may not even be thinking about it, really, like, other than the money. Potentially, that's all they seem to think about. No, it's just an interesting thing, because there is potential there to, as we move forward and as more businesses become Web3 and less are launching into, well, potentially none into Web2, then solutions such as yours becomes the the standard solution almost, doesn't it? So that would be nice, Longfei, wouldn't it? A couple of next year, right? Next year, these things will happen. But I mean, that leads me into another question about what you kind of. We're in a bit of a weird place right now with crypto and blockchain. A good place, actually, I think, in a building place, in a place where things are becoming. It seems to be becoming more serious, more engaged. Builders and Dapp builders is like at an all-time high, as seen by the GitHub commits and other things. It's where do you think in the next kind of 12 months we're going to go to, Longfei? What do you see on the horizon for blockchain and crypto? Like, do you see DeFi for everybody? A new central bank digital currency in China? Like, what do you think, man? Like, this is just theoretical, but I always like to kind of understand how you see the landscape right now. So what do you think? Where are we headed?
Well, to be honest, that I'm in China. I'm not very optimistic on the situation in China because, yeah, like crypto exchange and minings, everything will kind of be treated as not legal in China. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of change in China back in 2017, 2018. It was so popular in China. Everything grows like very nice in terms of the investors or project, and people from the world like to come to China and to explore. Now things are changed a little bit. So I mean, just hoping that in next 12 months, I'm not expecting that China will change too much, but I'm hoping the world will change a lot. And a lot of innovation is still coming around, like we see from the past few years. And DeFi is starting showing up as like all sort of farming and like decentralized exchange and liquidity pool, or sort of like derivative from the like token and everything. Yeah. And also after, I mean, I think back in May, that's when Vitalik started talking about the SVT. I mean, essentially, it could be like a decentralized ID, and then now I see a lot of creations.
How do you feel about this, though, Longfei? Like, what's your? Because I kind of hoped you were going to mention this soulbound token. Yeah. It's, for me, it sounds super similar to what's going on in China with the social credit and scoring system. It's just like that. But tell me more, man. What do you think?
I kind of like it. I mean, I kind of like it because the ID was not new. It was something that had been developed, and a lot of projects actually did a couple of years back on the DID. And for me, that every time I just get into trouble of going a different country, it's complicated and all the system are isolated. Yeah. And that SVT system, yeah. I mean, not break the whole world, but in the Web3 world, if we can have that bridging to different ecosystems to be able to use it everywhere. I mean, if my wallet, pretty amazing. And all the like employment verification and your personal information online in the Web3, I think that's amazing. I like it. I like it very much. And I've seen a lot of projects showing up, and some of them are very creative.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting time in that, around that conversation of identity, anonymity, all of these things, but I'm with you too. Anything that can make people's lives easier, I think they're going to embrace, right? That's kind of what we're like as human beings. We like things to be made easier for us. So yeah, to me, it also seems pretty logical there as well. All right, cool. So let's get away from the kind of, we're getting down into the rabbit hole of crypto chat. So let's pull back away from that. And I mean, one of the things I want to, one of the main things about Filecoin is what's happening for you guys over the next couple of months. What's on the horizon for Filecoin, what's happening, what should people be getting excited about? I think a lot of developers out there now, after listening, should be thinking of there's some compelling reasons here to come and do some more research on Filecoin. But what's happening for you guys in the next 6 months, for example? Like anything big, anything crazy that we need to know about?
I think we already mentioned one of them, which is the FVM. I think in the Filecoin ecosystem that people have been following us and contribute to different area for Filecoin, a lot of them shows very like high interest in about FVM because they are very excited to try different scenario and different use case on the data they have on the Filecoin, and then to see it grow. So I mean, FVM is definitely a very, very, very hot topic for Filecoin, and
Yeah.
I think we at the stage of that we can do Ethereum compatible smart contract. And like if you're a Solidity developer and you'll be able to use the tools that you're familiar with, like Remix and Hothead and OpenZeppelin or MetaMask on Filecoin as well. And we are running a testnet. I mean, eventually early next year, everything will be out, and then people can just start develop things around Filecoin. And that's very, very exciting to do it. And another part is the retrieval. I mean, because if you think about storage network, first is storing, and then the second is retrieval.
Yeah.
And the third one is what I mentioned, FVM, is bringing the programmability for this data. So retrieval is also not hot topic, because currently that in Filecoin network, retrieval data is a bit too slow. So we're building a like high efficiency CDN network similar to CDN network on Filecoin to be able to just provide the data you want in a very fast way. So
Nice.
along with FVM, so those are very exciting.
That's like, so increasing capabilities, increasing what you can actually service. That's, yeah, like there's so many sides to it, and you put it really well as well, like the servicing side. There's so many more blockchains as well, and they keep coming, and we keep seeing more and more and more. I mean, one day I hope they'll stop building blockchains, but it's not coming. It's not coming anytime soon, I don't think. And also with EVM compatible chains, in terms of launching dapps, you've got dapps that are already running on Ethereum, on BNB Chain, on Optimism, on Avalanche, on other chains, EVM compatible chains that can basically launch pretty immediately on Filecoin. And I think that's something quite important as well. Very little effort required to kind of grow your audience on another network, right? So that's another benefit for Dapp developers, I think, there as well, which is cool. All right. Is there anything else? I think the most important thing at the end of the call is, if people have been watching and they now want to reach out, ask questions, where's the best place? Is it Discord, Twitter? How can they contact you, Longfei? Like, give us some information as to where people can go now that are interested and want to find out a little bit more. All right.
Okay. I mean, the the easiest way to do it is just join the Slack for Filecoin. Okay. And we're trying to, as Protocol Lab, we're trying to work as public as possible. So all the discussion on how we're gonna add in, like what kind of features we're adding to Filecoin, and also like how to do the improvement, everything all discussed and openly in the Filecoin Slack. And if you developer are interested, you can just join the Slack channel. And there are a lot of channels happening there, like FVM, retrieval, and there's a lot of things I just can't mention. You can find anyone.
No, that's so they can find the specific thing that they want to know about. You have a channel for that. Okay, that's cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, if I'm a developer advocate working for Filecoin, but we also have a lot of people in the team who is covering like how to use IPFS and like us how to use Filecoin, how to build on the FVM, the virtual machine, and we have I think handful of the developer advocates to be available to support everybody who's interested to build. And we have office hour, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. You can just schedule if you want, like to talk with us one-on-one and getting deeper into how to use technology. I would say the office hour is very easy to make a point. And then we use Calendly, so it's easy to set up like 15 minutes, 30 minutes time with any of us. That's also a great way. We can direct you to like what kind of tools you can use, and if you're interested into the hackathon or like in a grants or accelerator, we can just point you to the right direction and to avoid you going like
everywhere. This is the thing. Like, I think you can click on the wrong link and end up in the wrong place and then suddenly become lost and then run away. So that's kind of why I wanted you to get that out there as well. You also said, Longfei, at the beginning that you're heading off to some events. So you'll be out there in the real world. So which events are these? Where could people potentially come and shake your hand now they know what you look like? Where are you headed to?
So that's gonna be a very big event in Lisbon at end of October. So we have events from October 24th all the way to November 4th, and it's gonna be a protocol lab. We call it lab weeks, and we bring a lot of people from the protocol lab as well as the ecosystem to discuss what we're gonna do next step. And apart from that, we have IPFS camp, which we're more focused on develop on IPFS, and it's like a 101 topics that we discuss in the workshop. And if you want to learn deeper, and we have 201 kind of a course and a workshop and then talks around IPFS. That's going to be a 2 days event. And after that, we are focused more on the like Filecoin side. So we have Phil Lisbon. We move talking about like a retrieval market, FVM, and then like economic model, everything around Filecoin. And all the events going to be amazing, and a lot of people from the team will be there, not just the develop advocate, like the marketing and then business development, engineering team who want to get deep onto how to use this and how the Filecoin is built and how the FVM is built, and this you can get all the people to see. So if you're interested, come to Lisbon.
That's it, right? And all the support is there. You're really getting that message across, Longfei, really nicely. I think there's a lot of support available for people. I think that's really important, and I think it's a very good thing that you're getting out there as well. So yeah, as Longfei said, you can hit him up at events. If you see him, shake his hand, say hello, introduce yourself, tell him where you met him, and yeah, open a conversation. That's how things happen, right? You have to start a conversation to get things moving. So
definitely.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad we did this and it worked okay this time. We had our issues last time, so that was cool. It's a real pleasure to speak with you, man, and get a better idea about what you're doing. And I think, as I said, Dapp developers are out there looking for platforms. So if anybody's watching this out there and you're interested, give Longfei a shout or have a little look into Filecoin. It's one of those options. So yeah. Anything else you want to get out there? Maybe just say thank you to the audience for today.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for you guys to have this amazing opportunity to talk with the audience, all the developers. And if anyone interested into Filecoin, get contact with me or just grab a time slot with any developer advocates to talk about it. I mean, we are very welcome you guys to build, and we're willing to provide any support we want, fundings and then advisors, and putting into the VCs and get investment and everything. So we just want to help and to build Web3 together.
Nice. Good sign off, man. So you heard it there. So if you're looking to build projects, Filecoin's a compelling choice. Check it out. See what they've got to offer. Give Longfei a shout and he can give you some advice. All right, guys, that's it for today. So thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank you all for coming back to our second session. And I'm sure I'll be speaking with Longfei again in the future. And I wish those guys I wish you all the best of luck in what you're about to endeavor on and get on with. So best of luck to you guys. And for everyone watching, thank you so much. I hope you all learned something today. If you want to grab more information, as I said, links will be in the video. So thank you again, Longfei. You've done a great job today answering all the questions. Really good. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you all soon.